What's up, y'all? It's Carolina Dad here. Just wanted to say thank you to everyone that is listening to the show, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. I appreciate it. I would love for you to hit the like, subscribe button, whatever it is. Follow the show, follow me on social media. But hey, quick announcement. Look at this. The 2 Growls, 1 Roar hoodie is officially available. This is it right here. I have the shop open on Instagram, so you can order the hoodie directly from there. There's 4 different colors. I think it's this gray, there's a black, a navy, and then like a darker gray version. $48 includes shipping. I'm not making a ton off of these, and I'm not buying supply first, and so I just ship it directly from the provider. Anyways, I appreciate it. If you want to support the show, thank you. Or if you just want to like, subscribe, all that's good too. Thank you all. Have a good one. What is going on, Panthers Nation? Carolina Dad here, your host of the 2 Growls, 1 Roar podcast. Welcome back, my friends. Feels like it's been a really long time since I made a podcast. I think because in the season so far, it's been, Sunday, even Monday games, turning around, reacting, previewing. Having a game on Thursday night was actually pretty nice for me because I had a little bit of a break here. Here we are. Let's jump right in. First off, gotta give a shout out to my brother because he's the one who got us this nice fancy sign that I will eventually put on this wall behind me, get it decorated really nice. One baby step. I even have a football down here. This is a football from my high school days. You can see it's deflated. Seen much better days right there. And kicking off the episode with a little bit of green tea. It is only 8:30, but man, with the time change, with the state of the Panthers, not really, with just the way things are, this past week has been insane. It feels late for me. I was like, I gotta get some caffeine. I don't drink soda. It's a little late for coffee, so it's like I'll go with the green tea, get a little bit of caffeine, and power through this episode. Here we are. Enough rambling. Welcome to your preview of the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday at Bank of America Stadium. And if we're being honest, I'd like to say welcome Cowboy fans to Charlotte. Welcome to Bank of America Stadium itself, as you will get comfortable in your second home or your home away from home. And I anticipate 60-65% Cowboy fans in attendance, if not more. It's sad because this is the Keep Pounding game, which we do once a year. The Panthers do once a year in honor of Sam Mills and Keep Pounding, and we know it's in the jerseys. On pay, like this likely could have been a really big game. I mean, I know like out of market, bringing in the Cowboys and the Cowboy fans and the money that's going to be spent in the Charlotte area, they travel well. Cowboy fans are going to show up and the ticket prices are insane. Before the season started and before the Panthers were even terrible, the ticket price for this was like way up there, excuse me. However, it's time to talk ball. I'll kick this off by saying it's been a week. It has been, I guess that's the week. It's been quite a few days. We went from potentially having a march on Mint Street. And if you're not in the loop, so if you're not on Twitter or Instagram, this may not have even, you might not have even heard of this, or if you're not in the Charlotte market, there was another Panthers podcast, Rashad and Dave, and they were talking about organizing a march on Mint Street to Bank of America Stadium this past Sunday. There was a lot of hype around it, flyers. It made the rounds. I saw a lot of media talking about it, which is what you want if you're going to do this type of event. It got canceled because of there was another kids event or a kids event happening at the stadium, which is fine, makes sense. But then while all this is like building up, there's this report that comes out that Tepper's frustrated. Then we get this other report coming out from ESPN that the Panthers attempted to acquire Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Sweat during the trade deadline, and none of the teams wanted to budge, or I guess Sweat ended up going, to the Bears, but we didn't get that number one receiver. Tepper's frustrated with the offense, just like we've heard numerous times. And so like all this stuff trickles out, kind of simmers down. And I was listening to the Mac and Bone show, and shout out to them because I follow them and they follow me back on Twitter. And I was like, hey, y'all, I need to, local radio. I listen to Randy Slack from 11 to 12 here in the Wilmington market on ESPN Wilmington. I listen to the Adam Gold show. We get that here from 12 to 2 or whatever his time slot is. My other time slots were national media. And I'm not knocking national media, ESPN radio and all that, but I really like the local markets. And being able to listen to the Charlotte market from my phone, being able to interact with them, it's awesome. And we're going to have them on the show eventually. We're going to have a lot of folks on the show coming up soon once I get all this sorted out. Anyways, that was kind of your headline after the game. And then the second headline was just like, okay, who's getting fired? And this whole thing started where we've got fans saying, it's going to be Fitter. He's going to be the one that's gone, or it's going to be Frank Wright. How long are we going to let this last? And okay, if we do make this happen, what's the impact? Who's going to want to come here? Who's the replacement? And my gosh, we just saw that making the rounds, just continuing to go and to go and to go. Then we started to see, and these videos have happened, but they've been much more relevant, videos during the week of, again, NFL Network, NFL, Fox, ESPN, different media members talking about how, comparing Bryce to CJ, because CJ just another win, another comeback win, another game-winning drive. CJ Stroud now in the discussion for MVP. Yes, he is an MVP, not just Rookie of the Year. And so there's this huge comparison, and now folks are like coming to defend Bryce, which is great, coming to defend him, and that's the whole storyline. So you have all this coming out. I mean, it's been, for a team that has one win, and I should also throw in there that the Panthers are now officially, no denying, the worst team in football, based off of their record. So I'm gonna do a few new things today, and I'm gonna get into the Cowboys game, so don't worry. Number one, I'm gonna play a few clips, trying this out. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, I'll scratch it and say, yeah, it is what it is. I've got one clip from Micah Parsons on his take on Bryce Young, and then I've got another clip of Frank Wright from his presser that has some people fired up. So I'm going to be playing those. But before I transition into that, I think there is a lot of frustration happening in the Carolinas, in the locker room. And I say that because I myself had an interaction this past week with Amir Smith-Marset on Twitter as well as Instagram. Now, he didn't say anything to me directly, but I can read the writing on the wall, so to speak. So if you know, or if you follow the Panthers, or if you're a Cowboys fan, he had our lone touchdown last week, 80-some yard punt return touchdown. It was the longest touchdown of the week in the NFL this past week. And he's a playmaker. He was the second leading receiver with Patrick Mahomes in the preseason when he was on the Chiefs. We've seen him get on the field one time, just once. And he is a guy that I feel like should be getting more touches, as he has shown his elusiveness. He's even talked about it in some of the locker room pressers. I know Sheena Quick shared videos, Keep Blitzen has shared videos of him. But the frustration is getting there. I could see it because I sent out a tweet. One, I played a clip from the last podcast where I talked about him and his play, and he should be getting on the field more. And then he likes it, and then he reposts it. So that should tell you everything you need to know kind of about that situation. Then I take it, and I'm like, okay, he had already liked it. And I was like, I'm going to flip this. I put it on Instagram, tagged him again. He goes on Instagram, tags it. or likes it, and then it's shared along with, I guess, some other folks in his circle, because then I don't even remember the lady's account, but a lady with like 70,000-80,000 followers reposted the video. And for me, it was probably my most viewed clip of just me, because I do a bunch of other clips, but the most viewed clip of me talking. And so it's like, yeah, I think the frustration's kind of setting in. And I mean, at 1-8, what is there to lose to get him involved? Because if we talk about, as we start to get into the game and talk about this team, we know the offensive line struggles, and we're going to talk about some things that just happened today as I recorded this that have changed the outlook on the game and the season and this team. We know that we've done a terrible job giving Bryce time to throw. To the flip side, we know that Bryce has struggled getting the ball out. Not every time, but he does like to hold on to it. I saw some person put it that he likes to throw college open versus NFL open, and those are two different things, which they are. Two totally different things. He's got to be more comfortable getting it out. But then you also add the caveat that his skill position players are just not it, and it's not a knock on who we have, but things just haven't panned out the way we wanted with the running game, with the passing game, getting into kind of the picture of the Cowboys coming into town. I think they're 10.5 point favorites right now. They will easily cover that. When the Panthers have been like over a touchdown, have been not favored by over a touchdown, I should say, this year, the other team's easily covered. So I think they'll easily cover that. Dallas takes this game. I'm even throwing out an early prediction without really getting into a prediction. But before we really dive into this, I'm going to try this. So I'm going to play the Micah Parsons clip. So I'm playing it from my phone if you're watching, but in the video clip and in the audio here in a second, you'll actually hear him talking up. So I'm going to play this, and then I'll kind of react to it. So give it a second and let's do it.
And I've seen a lot of conversation with people bashing Bryce Young because he's 1-8. Do they regret not taking CJ Stroud? Absolutely not. Let Bryce Young develop. I think CJ Stroud may have went into a little bit better situation. There's not a lot in Carolina right now. Their offensive line hasn't been the best. Their running game hasn't been the best. The receivers hasn't really been the best. So I don't think we should just throw away Bryce just yet. I think we should let him get a couple years, give him that same grace as we did everybody else. Even guys like Trevor Lawrence, who struggled their first year, look how well he's doing. He grew. You got to build a team that supports him and around him. Give him time. Let him break out. I think Bryce Young will have his breakout year. It's just not this year.
What do you think? I think it's pretty close to what I was just saying and what we're starting to hear. Doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it easier with this entire situation at being 1-8. I do think there's a caveat with, Trevor Lawrence specifically. You can't compare, I'm going to say you can't compare Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young because they're just very different situations. We knew Urban was unproven. We knew that they were unstable. We, on the other hand, knew that Frank Wright was brought in for Bryce and to develop whoever this was. It's not going to get easier, though. I mean, you've got Stephen A. Smith out here saying that we took the wrong guy, that we're sitting here, Tepper's ticked off that we didn't take CJ Stroud. I know fans are upset that we didn't take him some. But it is one of those things where it has to play out. And until we fully see this thing, and I even asked ChatGPT earlier this week who's going to be the better quarterback, and it gave out this very nice response that it's too early to tell. It's going to depend on a lot of things that happen around them, and over the course of the next few years, we'll find out, which is very true of the situation that it is. So let's move ahead. Let's dive in a little bit to the game. So there were a few things that happened transaction-wise today, and I want to make sure I cover all these and get them. Biggest news yesterday, we designated cornerbacks J.C. Horn and tight end Ian Thomas to return from injured reserve. So that opens that 21-day period for them to be back. That doesn't mean they're going to play Sunday. If you remember, it's going to take them time, or they have up into the 21-day window to return. We also signed Iku Lyoto to the active roster from the practice squad and signed offensive tackle David Sharp to the practice squad. The corresponding moves for this, we released safety Matthias Farley and tight end Jordan Matthews. It's kind of surprising that Jordan was released. I mean, it wasn't, but like he was just here, just brought in, and now he's gone. Then today, we made some additional moves. So our starting guard, Calvin Throckmorton, was released by the Panthers. I mean, he had started the last 7 games. 4 of them were at right guard before Austin Corbett was back, and then 3 at left guard. You think about what's transpired on the line, and you wonder if Chandler Zavala didn't have that kind of weird incident against Detroit, if he may have been able to stay in the lineup. But is going to open this up with either Zavala or Cade Mays likely getting the move. I know some people want to see Bozeman move over and maybe Cade Mays goes to center. There's a lot of talk about changing up the entire front. I know people want to see Icky move inside because Icky's this been a terrible year as far as regression on this offensive line. We also signed veteran linebacker Tay Davis, who was previously with the Atlanta Falcons. It just gives you some veteran experience to help. So he's 27-year-old. He was just released by the Falcons last week. He's played with Giants, Browns, Texans, and Raiders. Appeared in 53 career games and 5 starts. Also, Panthers released Deontay Brown from the practice squad, another lineman. So all your corresponding moves and transactions, it's been a busy few days, which kind of segues us into talking about the game. And I'm going to play a clip from Frank's presser because I think we need to listen to this and then move forward in my analysis. But there was something that came up where a question was, is Frank going to give up the play calling? And I've seen different takes. I've seen Mike Kay's take where he says he doesn't think that it makes sense and you don't do that at this point. Like, we're as far as we are now, there's no benefit to having Frank come over. Like, if we were a contending playoff team or fighting for a position for whatever it is, then maybe you do that. Maybe that's the point where, like, okay, yeah, maybe I should take this over so that we don't run this into the ground. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. On the flip side, I see Joe Person of The Athletic saying that all signs point to Reich taking it over. I'm in the camp with Mike Kay that I don't think that Frank Reich takes it over. There's still going to be this quote-unquote collaboration that continues to be the hot topic of the entire offseason, the buzzword through the offseason. Now, in this press conference, and I'm pulling it up now, something got fans a little fired up with the offense that we have in place and the skill positions there. So, really the question, there was a few things mentioned. One of them being, Bryce primarily being out of shotgun. I'm not as concerned about that because the league itself has 60% or so. All offenses in the league have about 60% of snaps out of shotgun. Bryce does a lot out of the pistol, but it is a one-back approach. You think about what you can do under center. But that was one of the things. Then we started to talk about the identity, and you just have to listen to this. I'm going to play it now. Again, hopefully this works. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, and it just goes to, and again, I don't want to, say everything that we're trying to do schematically. But in the big picture, I will say this. We want to be a physical football team who can run the ball on their own terms. Do we want to be smash mouth football, under center, power? No, that's not who we're trying to be. We're not trying to be that. So.
Okay, so we want to be smash or run the football, but we don't want to be power, smash mouth, under center running the ball. It's like, you can't make this up right now, and he doesn't want to give too much away. There's not a lot to give away. I said it the last time that I was on here that whoever's running the camera operations when the Panthers are offense, you don't even have to move your camera because the play is going to stay within the 10 to 15 yards that you can see on the screen. It's not going out beyond that, folks. It's not. But this, I get the coach speak, man, but people are very, very frustrated, rightfully so. And I was on ESPN Wilmington this week with Randy Slack. Again, shout out to Randy Slack. I think third or fourth time that I've been there, which is great. It's great. He's awesome. And I got to kind of talk through and just rant about the Panthers. But then at the end, he was like, give me a positive to look forward to. And I'm like, man, I don't know what the positive is. But as I'm sitting here now, I'm like, well, the positive is developing Bryce a little bit more, getting better, and understanding that in the off season, these things are going to have to be addressed. And now, is that Fitter making getting the players that come through? I don't know, but it gives me a little slight bit of faith that at least we're talking the talk and we understand it. There's only so much you can say without like bashing your entire team and players around you and or your GM without outright saying that we're just a terrible team and this is not going to improve and this is the offense that we are, which is what they are. I joked, like, it is what it is. It is what it is for the rest of this year. And I even, this past week started looking at the roster and salary cap. How do we pay Burns? How do we pay Luvu? What money will we have available? Who can we attract? And all that's just boiling in the back of my mind. Okay, enough deep Panthers talk. It's time to talk Cowboys, because Cowboys are a heck of a football team, America's team, although Jim Harbaugh thinks that Michigan is America's team. Okay, Jim? Okay. Offensively, they are number 2 in points per game, putting up almost 30 points, number 4 in yards per game. It's going to be tough to stop this offense. It really is. They're averaging about 5.7 yards per play, and number 3, almost 50% on third down conversion. To the flip side of this, when you look at our offense, we are right on the cusp of being the worst in the league, but we're 29th, so still hanging on by a thread, scoring 17 points per game. But, I say that, and we've had defensive touchdowns this year. We've had the special teams touchdown. The offense has not looked the part the past few weeks. We've seen the struggles continue every week. We're only putting up about 75 yards per game, which is 30th in the league, and then 4.2 yards per play, which is 31st. So total polar opposites. Dallas also has a good defense, and we know this with, kind of the Micah Parsons. I kind of hinted at that clip there, but they are 4th in scoring at 18, giving up 18.3 points per game, giving up 275 yards per game, and holding opponents to about 4.8 yards per play, which is 4th in the league. You go to the flip side, and our defense the past 3 weeks, because you go back to the win, the Colts, and the Bears, our defense has done more than enough. We did win the one game, but more than enough these past few games. That's the other thing when you talk about Stroud. Like, Bryce beat him head to head, but also look what our defense did to CJ Stroud in shutting him down. It's hard to see or think that the defense is doing well and or special teams when you're losing, but giving up 26.9 points per game. And a lot of that has to do with turning the ball over, whether it's giving them prime field position or actually throwing a pick six. Our defense can't overcome that. So we're 30th in scoring, 7th in yards per game. So that's when I say that, like, the team isn't terrible on that side of the ball, and Ejiro Evero has done a great job at, with the situation that he has, being able to handle. So, I mean, those are really the kind of the key stats. I guess we'll look at very quickly. I was going to try to pull up the numbers for the Cowboys this year, as well as the Panthers. And the Panthers, there's not much to talk about. So I'll try to get them pulled up here. Hopefully this will go. Yeah, so kind of comparing the quarterbacks. So I guess we'll look at the Cowboys in general. So Dak Prescott, 2,400 yards passing, 70.7 completion percentage. He has 17 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. So he's doing his thing. Tony Pollard, 529 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Rico Dowdle has 212 yards right behind him and 1 rushing touchdown. They only have 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. Not a lot of production there, but passed the ball really well. And we saw what their offense did to the New York Giants last week. Bryce Young, on the other hand, 1,560 yards passing, 8 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. And rushing wise for the Panthers, 351 yards for Chuba. Miles Sanders has 224 yards, and then Bryce Young actually has 135 yards. He's leading us in yards per carry or average there. He's had a few good scrambles, and that's the part of like this, what we would like to see out of this offense. I said that Dallas didn't have a lot of rushing touchdowns. We only have 2 rushing touchdowns this year. We have 12 offensive touchdowns, 10 passing, 2 rushing, 12 scores. I can do the math right now. Hopefully, if I can get I'm doing it on my phone. 12 touchdowns over 9 games, so 12. And I'm going to count the extra point just because over 9 points, 9.3 points per game for our offense for touchdowns, not including field goals. I know you have to throw in the field goals, which I probably could do if I pull it up. Yeah, a total when you include the field goals, 13 field goals actually, or 16 field goals. So yeah, Eddie at 48. Doing the math real fast. So offensively, let's see, because I'm not going to count the other defense. Yeah, about 14 points, almost 15 points per game just from the offense that we've produced. Wow. My gosh. Anyways, Cowboys fans, welcome to the butt whooping of the century. Welcome to Bank of America Stadium. Like I said, the Panthers technically will have 4 road games in a row now as Cowboys come into town, and then we actually go on the road for 4 games in a row. You know, as I close this out, the thing I want to, and prediction, Cowboys win. That's my prediction. By how much? Oh my gosh. Cowboys 35, Panthers. Man, we're going to do the thing where we score late, garbage time. 35-21. So they cover. There you go. There's your score. Final score. 35-21, but it's late scoring from us. Yeah, if we hold them to 35, I don't know. I think Dallas might put up 50 on us. Although defense has been the positive. Anyways, I talk about, or this is the dilemma. This is going beyond Bryce. It's going beyond CJ Stroud and this entire situation. You look at the league and at some of these starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And I'm going to name 3. Number 1, Sam Howell. Actually, I'm going to name 2, and then 1 is like, I can't really throw him in this mix. I can, but I'll tell you in a second. Sam Howell, Josh Dobbs. 2 picks. Sam Howell specifically, I don't have Dobbs in front of me. Sam Howell, a 5th round pick. A 5th round pick that is leading the league in passing. Leading the league in passing, 5th round. Washington did not have to trade up and give up a bunch of assets. Part of that can be tied to Eric Bieniemy and good coaching, just good quarterback play. You look over the aisle, I should say, at Josh Dobbs, the journeyman that went from Arizona and now to Minnesota, and he's winning games, and he had to be directed on where to go to the locker room. Our teams in general overvaluing a quarterback because taking a step back, I really love Major League Baseball wins above replacement. And when you think about the NFL, like wins above replacement, when I was out running, I thought about doing this, and I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to pretend to, but the scenario I was thinking of, because right now it's a lot of talk about flipping Bryce and CJ, and CJ in Carolina, would we win whatever? Bryce, would he be having the same success as CJ? No one will ever know. But maybe even a better comparison or scenario is to talk about Patrick Mahomes, or even a Josh Allen, even though he's down here, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, flipping those players with, in Bryce's shoes, because that's going to tell you the type of quarterback that you have. And I do see some scenarios where you put Patrick Mahomes on our roster, he will elevate you by default, even with what we have, and give you a win, 2 wins, 3 wins. A Lamar Jackson even, there's enough around him to elevate. Bryce Young is going to get there. He just doesn't have enough around him yet. And I think all we can do is, as we look at the outlook of the season and the future, is take this game by game, snap by snap, and just hope that week after week we're starting to be more competitive. Things are starting to develop. I mean, look at the play to Strong, which Strachan is how it's spelled. Last week, do we see more of those plays? Is the defense continuing to do its job? Are we eliminating turnovers? Are we getting turnovers? Is special teams executing? That's all you can do, man. And take that and just get ready for next year. Excuse me. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all, Panthers Nation. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.